the gastroduodenal artery. This is called the gastroduodenal artery. Means it has to supply duodenum and the stomach. So gastroduodenal artery then comes and it has got two branches. One is called the superior pancreatico-duodenal artery, which supplies the duodenum and pancreas lines in the concavity of the duodenum. So it is called the superior pancreatico-duodenal artery. Superior pancreatico-duodenal artery, the branch of gastroepiploic artery. So common hepatic artery gives the gastroduodenal artery, and gastroduodenal artery then divided into superior pancreatico-duodenal artery. This supplies the duodenum and the head of the pancreas, as its name is pancreatico-duodenal artery. Then this artery gives a branch, the right gastroepiploic. And this right gastroepiploic will supply the pylorus and the rest of the greater curvature and the body of the stomach. Plus, it runs in the number 1 and number 2 layers as usual. Supply the greater omentum. They are the epiploic branches which goes into the omentum. And this right gastroepiploic then meet and anastomose freely with the left gastroepiploic artery within 1 and number 2 layers of the greater omentum. So we see a good amount of the arterial supply is there in the stomach. From all the sides, stomach having got the good arterial supply. Now comes its venous drainage. As we know, venous drainage is also a very important blood supply, because few of the items which we take orally reaches the stomach and they are absorbed readily from the mucosa of the stomach. And these absorbed substances, they are present, absorbed in the veins around the stomach. So a good amount of the veins are also present into the stomach. So where the left gastric veins are present, and these left gastric veins, they are also accompany the esophageal veins. The abdominal part of the esophagus is also drained by the left gastric vein. So this is the left gastric vein. So it drains the most of the body of the stomach and the lesser curvature, plus the abdominal part of the esophagus as well. Because these veins, they become esophageal varices in the portal hypertension. The upper part of the stomach, of the esophagus, which is the thoracic part of the esophagus, it is well drained by the azygos veins of the thorax, esophageal veins. So there is a very poor anastomosis between the esophageal, abdominal and thoracic part of the esophageal veins. But during portal hypertension, a good communication results, which lead to the dilatation of the esophageal vein, that is called the esophageal varices. That is the cause of the hematemesis in the portal hypertension. Similarly, the short gastric veins, they also accompany the short gastric arteries, and they go into the splenic veins. So splenic vein starts on the hilum of the spleen, and it carries the veins of the stomach as well as. And this splenic vein then runs behind the stomach bed, behind the pancreas, and this splenic vein ultimately meet with the superior mesenteric vein to form what is called the portal vein. And this portal vein get the left gastric vein tributary, and the splenic vein get the tributaries of the short gastric veins and veins on the body of the stomach. Similarly, the right and left gastroepiploic arteries, they accompany the right and left gastroepiploic veins also, and these veins they also open into the superior mesenteric vein to reach the portal vein, which goes into the liver as right and left hepatic veins, and into the portal veins into the porta hepatis of the liver. So this is how, and then the superior and the inferior pancreatic or duodenal veins, they also open into the superior mesenteric veins. So few items of the food we take, they are readily absorbed from the stomach. In these food stuff comes the water, which is very readily absorbed by the mucosa, by these veins, and they reach the liver and the circulation very quickly. Then the glucose is readily absorbed by the mucosa. It does not need to go into the villi of the jejunum and the ileum. Stomach is the seat of absorption of the water, glucose, and then poison. Then drugs we take, paracetamol or other antibiotics. So after half an hour they are absorbed from the stomach and they reach our blood circulation. Certain minerals, they are also absorbed from the stomach mucosa. So a good amount of the veins are surrounding the stomach for readily absorption of these food items we take orally. So that is the venous drainage is also equally important. Now the last part of the stomach, which is very, very important, is the lymphatic drainage. So lymphatic drainage is very, very important because food remains into the stomach for 3 to 4 hours. And orally we take so many of the infected food sometime. The spores of the bacteria, they enter or mixtures with our food, or the protozoa in the food stuff, which may be the cause of the food poisoning. So they have to remain for 3 to 4 hours in the stomach. And during these 3 to 4 hours, stomach is surrounded by so many lymphatics and the lymph nodes that our food in the stomach is checked for 3 to 4 hours. And there is the effort that there should be no any disease causing organism remains in the stomach. Usually it is killed by HCl, which is very toxic to the bacteria and the spores. But certain bacteria, they are, for example, the Salmonella, typhi and the typhinurium, as well as the T bacilli, tubercular bacilli. They are acid-fast bacilli. They are not killed by the HCl. So such bacteria, they gain entry into our GIT and they cause the ileocecal tuberculosis and the food poisoning. Everything is possible. But there is a good amount of the lymphatics and the lymph nodes are surrounding the stomach, and our food is checked for 3 to 4 hours, and all the disease causing organisms have been cleared from the food at the stomach level, so that whatever food is going into the duodenum or the jejunum for the absorption, it should be disease free. So every effort is there to make the disease free human body. So a good amount of the lymph nodes and lymphatic, they are surrounding our stomach. Let us see what groups of the lymphatics are surrounding the stomach. So the first group of the lymphatics, lymphatic lies in the submucosa of the stomach, and they start as what we call the lymphatics anywhere in the human body. they start as the blind tubes. In the submucosa they are lying, and these blind tubes, they having many holes like this, like the nozzle of the vacuum cleaner, containing the target pressure by the lymph fluid present, milky fluid in these lymphatics. So they are the blind tubes are present in the submucosa, and all these lymphatics, they come out from the wall of this serous coat of the stomach, and the lymph nodes, they are the dustbins actually, and filled with the macrophages, and all this disease causing organism absorbed from the stomach, they are all thrown into these dustbins which are present along the lesser curvature. So they are called the left gastric group of the lymph nodes. Sometimes they are also called superior gastric lymph nodes also. A group is there. So this is the first group draining the stomach mucosa in this area. Then the area of the fundus, these lymphatics, they accompany the short gastric vessels and veins and arteries, and they are present in the hilum of the spleen. As the hilum of the spleen is also draining the pancreas, so they are collectively called the pancreatico-splenic group or the pancreatico-renal group also. So this is the second group. So this much of the stomach is divided parallel to the esophagus is the left gastric lymph nodes. They are drained in this area, the group 1. So from this area, the pancreatico-splenic group drains this part of the stomach, including fundus and some part of the greater curvature in the body. The rest of this is number 2 group. This was number 1 group. The third group of the lymph nodes, they are present along the greater curvature, and these lymphatics, they usually accompany and they are collected here, and they are called the inferior gastric group of the lymph node. So this is the superior epigastric superior group, this is the inferior gastric group of the lymph nodes, or they are sometimes also called the gastroepiploic group also. And a few lymph nodes from the pylorus, they are present just below the pylorus, so they are called the subpyloric group of. So this is the 4th group. So stomach is divided into 4 parts having different drainage area of the groups. So they call the subpyloric group of the lymph nodes. Subpyloric group. So ultimately, these lymph nodes, they accompany around the celiac trunk. You see in the abdominal, the lymphatics and the lymph nodes, they accompany the arteries. While in the upper and the lower limb, we have seen that the lymphatics and lymph nodes, they usually accompany the veins. So that is the difference between the abdomen and the upper and lower limb. So lymph nodes, they are also present around the celiac group of the celiac trunk, and the left gastric or the superior gastric lymph node, they drain into this. And again, this second group also comes and it drains into the third group. And the third group also comes into the subpyloric group, and the subpyloric group ultimately goes into the celiac group of the lymph node. So this is how the lymph from the stomach is ultimately, it is collected or goes to the celiac group of the lymph node. So that is the lymphatic drainage of the stomach, that's of the stomach. That's all.